Aye.
Let's see. So present is Steve Ivane, Tom Kalinowski, Michael Caneb, staff member Nate Nardi Cyrus, myself, Christine Altman, and Tom, what's your last name?
Candeffer.
And Tom Candeffer is attending as well. First order of business is the minutes for approval for the August 11th, 2022 meeting.
I'll move we accept the minutes from the August 11th, 2022 meeting.
Okay, I have a motion.
I second.
Steve Ivane seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And then new business, we have the Bessie Park Forest Management update.
And I can update from my end.
Right.
So I, after hearing interest about the progress of the forest management activities at Bessie Park, I reached out to the forester on that plan, who was Andrew Bossy, who put together the forest management plan, and looped into that, forgetting his name, with Parks and Rec.
Brett Simmons.
Yes, Brett Simmons, and looped him in on that. And we, asked what the progress on everything was. They mentioned that I guess they had started work, then they stopped work late in the summer, and expected to be back on site soon. I saw a truck there the other day with the rope down over the entrance. That was this week. So I don't know if they've started, if that was someone working on dragging logs or something up there. But anyway, reached out to Andrew, and Brett had suggested putting together a site walk. And this was already a couple weeks ago now, and there was no word from Andrew, like just kind of radio silence on that request. And I asked again, like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, a few days later, just to kind of keep it alive. I said, we can set up something and then invite the commission members. And if they can attend, great. If not, but we do want to get out there and look, and nothing. So
can I take a look at this?
Sure. Sorry. It's a little, we have some doodling for my wife and some coffee stains.
Just trying to remember. Was there a drawing in there?
No, there's a map.
Yes,
there's
yes.
You're at it now.
Yeah.
Stand map at the back.
Do we know where they're supposed to be at this moment in terms of
well, there's
the process?
There's a schedule. If I read through the plan. So my background, I was a forester.
Yes.
So I was excited to read this. But I did have some questions for them that I thought were kind of weird, but they don't have any date. Like they have it by, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 5.
Okay.
They don't necessarily abide by those schedules. It's just, supposed to be guiding activity whenever it does happen. So it would be helpful to meet with the forester, because they're the one who would be tracking progress on that. Again, I was a little confused. So it's getting a little forestery, but their prescriptions, which is, what they basically, the overall goal of what they want to accomplish. And generally it's either, to thin things out, to get everything to grow, or to open things up really big to get stuff to regenerate or come in.
Yeah.
So it's either growing what's on site or getting new stuff in. Their goals were to get stuff in and open it up a lot. But then when it went to like their actual, what they wanted to do for that,
It was all thinning.
it was all thinning, and it was consistent through all the stands. And what I saw when I went on site was some pretty large clearings, which is not a bad thing. It just is inconsistent in how I feel like it was more of just a type, like like an editing error, like he was
Okay.
using form language or something, and it wasn't caught when they, or I just needed to be explained to me, I guess. But anyway, yeah, so I think it would be really useful to meet with the forester on site and ask some of these questions and see where they're at.
Do you have a digital copy of this?
I do, it's online. If you
online?
search Bessie, if you search the title of that, it'll come up on the City of Torrington website.
So I can read it. Again. All right.
And why has this been just a summary? Why is it beneficial versus just leaving it alone and have it just totally natural?
Well, it's more like it instead of hiring a logger to come in and just take all the valuable wood, it's articulating goals and breaking the forest into like what they call stands. So like similar characteristic areas, and then applying different strategies to those different areas. And there are numbers in there that has to do with how many trees are removed and how much area it's opening it up. They're all kind of mathematical sort of equations that relate to productivity and how you grow trees. Because they're really like, it's almost like an agricultural thing. They're trying to grow trees as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible.
Valuable trees as fast as possible.
Right, exactly, right? Valuable trees.
And
because they want to make a profit to pay for it.
For the city from this as well.
Right. The revenue source is going to pays for the forester.
Yep.
And it pays for, essentially it pays for the forester and it pays money to the city.
Okay.
I think there was a grant secured for this. So maybe the forester's time is a little bit, maybe even more of that money is going back to the city. But it's my understanding that some money will come in from the city and some of that money goes to pay the forester to kind of make sure that they're abiding to the plan.
Okay.
I feel like when it's really, I have to just say, my memory is tenuous. But I remember in 2017, I'm talking about trying to create the ecosystems that we were looking for in the plan of conservation and development. So like I did ask for they were saying, oh, there won't be any anything totally clear. And I was like, well, we're looking for more meadow spaces. If there's, that's one of the ecosystems that is missing from, or is lacking in the city. And so if there's an opportunity to create a meadow in that area, that would be a good thing. So, I do remember that it was not just about thinning in the meeting, although that's like total clearing, but they were talking about like ecosystem development.
Well, and the plan does discuss that exact point, probably from when you brought it up, because there is in the stand map, there's one of the stands talks about that kind of management, and then it has like a subunit that says meadow creation area or something. So, and it makes sense to me that there would be, I maybe it's my forestry background, but I tend to like the larger cuts because the bigger, the more area you expose, as long as you're, operating correctly, you get more regeneration of things like oak, because they need a lot of light. And so when you do all the thinning and like kind of like light activities, if you do the light activities, you don't get the oaks don't come back because there's not enough light. And so when they do the big cuts, it's generally allows oaks and personally, there's also all the debris that's left on the ground, right? So when they cut the trees and they cut the tops off, there's like kind of this high brush everywhere. There's a kind of like an aesthetic issue, and a lot of people like to remove all that, but that's really important for it to stay. And they did look like they removed a lot of it, which wouldn't have been my preference, but a lot of times they want to head off public, people being upset about it because they don't understand another good benefit of that.
Why don't they just like chip it and leave it?
Well, so that could be beneficial, right? That could be beneficial. One of the pros, no, they could do that. It's more work, obviously. It's going to cut into the profit. But the issue that I see is that when you leave the tall brush, you can get the deer out. It acts as kind of like a deer fence. Stuff can kind of like come in underneath, and you don't have the deer just mowing it down, because the deer like oak. That's like, a favorite food of theirs. So it's a way to kind of a cheap fencing method, at least to get them established. And once they grow through it, you know, the more brush and the more impenetrable it is, the better for keeping deer out.
Okay.
But, you know, there's got to be a balance. So I just want to kind of pose these questions to their forester and see what he's thinking and kind of like and get to some of the more technical questions on the plan as well.
Keep seeing if we can get a sidewalk.
Yeah, I put that in there as a follow-up there. And I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it is a city land. It's
Yeah.
It's not like we're imposing.
No, yeah, right. I know. And I'm getting confused with wetlands too, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, that's like a jurisdictional determination, but this is like city land,
Yeah.
you know?
So this plan is, I found it online. It's February 16th of 2016. Is that what you're referring to, Nate?
We have a 27.
That sound right?
Just 2017, what is it?
Yeah,
2017.
June 6th, 2017.
Okay, so I'm not looking at the
That
right
one
one.
earlier version, probably. You probably have the original.
Yeah, I think it's a draft. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I just searched this online, so I don't remember exactly where it was.
Yep,
but-
I found it here. I was looking, yeah, June 6, 2017, final version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
But I do know also Jeremy went out with Andrew with the forester and helped him flag out buffer areas for the water courses.
Mhm.
There's a couple small water courses that
Okay.
traverse it. And so because it's city land, they wanted to leave, even though it's within their right to cut up to the
Mhm.
edge, they wanted to leave that there for protection, additional protections for the stream. So that'd be another question for them. Because I went out on site and I saw some paint on trees and some openings, but sometimes you don't know. Sometimes people leave paint on tree, like they paint the trees they want you to leave.
Mhm.
Sometimes they
Mhm.
paint the trees you want
Want
you to
to
take.
take,
So you
yeah.
have to know what the forester, like, you know,
Yeah.
have some idea of what their method
What their
was.
process is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think you referred to meadows earlier. I did find that it was under stand 4. Specifically, they were talking about central portion of the stand would be well suited for recreation of a pollinator meadow, which would provide a variety of wildlife habitat on the property as well as recreational and aesthetic benefits. That's on page 17 of the plan.
Yeah, right. So you see the blue,
Yep.
that would be that
Yeah, I
area.
remember that.
Oh, you guys have a copy of it there?
Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
looking at. It has all my wife's doodles on it and my coffee stains.
All right.
This was my fireplace reading, my recreational reading, because I would never have time to do this.
So then the logging trails, this I only vaguely remember, that the logging trails are then gonna become walking trails?
It was pretty vague as far as, I mean, it recommended that, that trails coincide, like future trails coincide with how they planned it, but it doesn't, again, I'm not sure how or if that's actually been planned for, or if it's just kind of like after they're done and they close everything out, that they'll maybe designate main paths that they would consider to be used for trails. I'm not sure. Again, another question for them as to how that's actually proceeding on site.
Did you see whether any of the stand of ash, and whether it was
I would assume that it's
It's all
circum.
dead.
I mean, at this point
know,
in
at this point, I
time,
mean, my
it's
gosh,
been
yeah.
already like 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's pretty much been hit at this point.
Yeah.
My first job out of college was putting up those purple emerald ash borer traps.
That was, back at that time, that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was even before that.
Yeah, it was.
So at this point,
But-
you know, there's
I'm trying to think, I was driving through Pennsylvania and the whole mountainsides were dead during the summer. And I was looking at them going, what the heck is going on there? And then I realized it was all ash.
yeah, you see that here in some places to some degree. Yeah.
Okay, Tom, what do you have to tell us about the project?
My observations is that they seem to have changed somewhat from their original plan, because they were avoiding the exterior perimeter, you know, where you have adjacent houses and things. So they concentrated their openings towards the center area. So there's, like Nate was saying, there's multiple open areas that are somewhat connected. And yeah, it's my understanding that at some point there would be consideration for reestablishing some sort of trails in there, whether they use the logging things or try to recapture some of the older trails. But
were the trails maintained? Were the older
no,
trails maintained?
well,
They
not
hadn't been
really.
for, like,
Some of them
decades,
were
right?
some of them were probably inadequate because there was substantial erosion on it.
Mhm.
You know, the way there's you know, it's on a hillside and there's multiple streamlets that come down that hillside, and occasionally when they hit the trail, and it just follows the trail, because there had been some activity by ATVs and dirt bikers, so that would contribute
That were contributing to the erosion.
to the erosion in the area. But
I mean, I've seen the crazy erosion where it hits Route 4. It's all just boulders that are kind of falling out off of that hillside.
yeah, but
There's more up on top.
well, there's certain areas, yes, but I did notice because I had mentioned at the Park and Rec that I was also interested in doing something beyond just hiking trails, considering snowshoeing or cross country skiing. And there is towards the north end of it, which hasn't been disturbed too much, and it's very less rocky, and it's a lot of pine growth in there, and it seems like it might be conducive to doing that. You know, the park has discontinued any downhill skiing, so we want to discourage that. But the cross country, it looks like you know, for year-round purposes, and that was kind of, if you look at the plaque at the base of down at William Best thing, it talks about all-around use. So I think that's something we should look at. You know, besides right now, what we have now is the youth can do sledding on that hillside, that one hillside.
That's a very small section of the whole.
Yes, of the whole 100 acres.
Yeah.
So I think that would be of interest to my Torrington Trails network, to see that we can provide a more broader range of
Recreational activities
yes.
in this
Yes.
park. Okay.
Yeah, I would have when I used to work at UConn, I don't know if any of you have been in Manchester, there's a beautiful park there called Case Mountain. And it's like really just a huge, massive park. It's contiguous to other state and watershed land. And they did a really big forestry harvest at the top of the hill to open up this amazing view. And so it's kind of a cool illustration of like something that's done to create this recreational view, but then there's like this nice habitat that they created down below in there. It would have been interesting. I don't know if they've actually opened up views when they did all that cutting there, but there might be kind of a nice viewpoint already created there, or something that they could create pretty easily to make a point of interest that might get people kind of passionate about it and, you know, motivate people to keep it maintained. Because sometimes it just takes one person, neighbor, who maybe likes to go up there. If there's a nice view at the top, they might bring a little saw and, you know, keep it up to date. So that'd be another question just about, and have you been to the top there, like where there could be views?
Yeah, sort of. I've gone through all of it because I kind of do bushwhacking, you know, kind of just wandering and see where I wind up.
Right.
And then, because I know that I'm still in Torrington and I don't get totally disoriented and lost. But yeah, I don't know necessarily that it's used, but it does provide a greater opportunity of habitats. You know, there's an area that has these stone walls, you know, and it's kind of, that's always a nice feature to be, you know, walking, you know, next to a stone walls, and then you get into a different habitat, you know, somewhat different vegetation there, and then that's and I think with the openings, that's going to create more diversity, I think. So, you know, even comparison, if I could compare what had been done, forestry work had been done at Albert Park, you can see, I mean, if you go up there, they cleared, you know, a massive amount of area, you know, maybe it's like 30 acres in the back there, and you see how things are regenerating. You know, what's coming in is the high bush blueberry and other different plants that are just waiting for more sun. You know, different plants that. So I think it's overall it's going to be a nice thing. You know, a pleasant thing to hike through now with more diversity and areas to go through.
Yeah, definitely.
Does anyone else have any comments?
I have nothing. So are we just, is this a matter of approaching the forester for an update on this plan, or what specific action are we looking to take here?
Yeah, I already had that email thread started where, you know, he had kind of filled me in on the progress. And so I'll just kind of restart that thread and say I had a Conservation Commission meeting, and the commission's really eager to get some information on the progress and the status, and that I have some questions, and you know, hopefully that'll and the fact that Brett actually chimed in, he's kind of difficult guy to get in touch of, so it seems to be a priority for him as well.
Okay.
What's your second forestry initiative? I remember City Council had approved two.
That was for the Albert Park one when it first.
The earlier one, Albert Park, probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't recall anything else except those two.
I don't know that there's not a large number of areas that are large enough.
There's this tiny, it's not a very big parcel, but there's this little open space parcel on Kennedy Drive that the city owns, that in the deed it says it can be used for timber harvest.
Oh, so it technically could, but probably.
Yeah, but it's like little.
The rule of thumb that I always heard was that anything greater than really 25 acres to make it commercially viable to bring equipment in and spend the time. 25 is kind of 15 maybe if there's like really high quality wood on the site.
Okay, so let's see, going back to the agenda, we're now on our old business, the Clean Up the World Day debrief.
I don't know if you want me to. I guess I can.
Well, we were both there. I don't know how the day ended, but I saw how it began. What was our total? Our total number was low, right?
Our total number we had right now. 2, 3,
Except
4,
that
5,
Tom
6,
did the work of 6 teams.
Yeah, we had 8 people sign up, not including myself or Chris, I think, but everyone else. Dan signed in. I mean, Ashley was there, but we didn't do any cleaning.
Right.
So yeah, we had 8 people, which is I guess an all-time low. It's my understanding for that. Yeah. But yeah, Tom was definitely the MVP of that event, and it's been. I wanted to bring it up as an item of discussion that we should, you know, recognize Tom's efforts and all and kind of prepping for the event, getting everything ready and working well into the afternoon after the event had ended and not claiming a single slice of pizza in the process. So, you know, I would like to suggest that we maybe follow up for some kind of, I know I saw that there was a good deed award.
We do have a good deed award.
Or a mayoral recognition. I could bring that up to the mayor. So I'll let you all discuss that.
I agree. I'm on board with that. I know Tom from way back in the day, my time on Trails Network, and he's always had great involvement in all these projects. So I agree with that completely.
What's your vote, Tom?
Well, can I add a comment here? I'd like to say this for the record. I resurrected an email back from August 1st of 2011.
Oh, okay.
2011. It was from the inland wetlands person then,
Kim?
you know, Kim Barbarian. And we're going to do this Red Mountain Trail cleanup. Oregon Trails Network invites you to volunteer. We had a big list. It's a beautiful trail. It littered with a lot of trash, and it's going to be conducted Sunday, August 14th, and we will meet behind the big K mark at 681 Main Street. We've been working on it for 11 years. You know, I think it's tired up some of our other Torrington Trails Network people, because we haven't got to the point where we've created a trail. It seems like it just accumulates things, whether it's animal generated or human generated. So that was kind of my incentive to keep at it, because at some point we're hopeful of getting a grant that will help us build the trail, and then it could be something that's going to be used much greater, and there'll be people in the area seeing things, less likely to be contaminated. And a secondary thing, I think it may apply to another one of your objectives, would be that could be a linear food forest as well. You know,
that's actually a very good location for one, honestly.
Yeah, because of the connections to the whole Red Mountain Avenue neighborhoods.
I'm very familiar with that area. I used to live on the corner of Red Mountain Avenue and Goodwin Street, and I walked that. I mean, I think there's a trail there. I walk that trail all the time, all the way up to Abelin Mountain, and then I've also gone all the way to Burt Pond from that trail. Now there isn't a trail there. I used a topographical map and I walked on people's property lines.
Yes.
But you can't. But you know, theoretically, you could get all the way.
Yeah, many people have gone up that way
to Burt Pond.
Yeah,
but when people are getting like burned out on the project, it's always full of trash because it's so heavily used by. I mean, I know like from Kmart to Goodwin Street was always a shortcut for anybody coming home from school.
Yes. And
they would, go to the store along the way, and that's where all the candy wrappers and stuff. And then we also have homeless encampments back there.
Plus then going towards first North Elm Street, there's some issue with there's some multifamily housing thing, which seems to accumulate some debris. Although one of the residents there has been on a lookout for things going there, and he's been contacting Linda Orr in Public Works to contact the landlord to see that things are not just tossed down the bank.
There was commercial dumping there too, if I recall. Like I'm trying to think. We've been cleaning that trail. Like that was my spot. It's a place I always used to go. I'm trying to think when I got on the Wetlands Commission, when the Conservation Commission was started. So I think maybe 2005 or so maybe somewhere between 2003 and 2004 was when I started cleaning there. And I mean, it has always been, I think, a place that's very convenient for the homeless because it's sheltered. And the number of nippers, like we were excavating, like right behind Kmart.
Right.
When you got there
Yes.
to the left, we were excavating layers and layers and layers and layers of nippers. Like
Right.
had been used.
Right.
It was like an archaeological dig.
Right.
And you know, it would get better every year, but there was also always dumping. It's just like, think that the way that it's used right now,
Mhm.
it is just like a place where nobody sees you throw your trash when you're,
Yeah,
you know,
there
finished with
are,
whatever it is.
there are people, some people that use, I've met them, we're not doing my cleanup. I've met a few people here who walking their the dogs
Mhm.
in that area. And sometimes they avoid it because they realize that there might be a possibility of some homeless people
Yeah.
in there. And just to avoid their any contact. But I think the establishment of a trail is going to be the corrective action, at least for that
To some
segment.
extent, like, so I haven't been there for a while, but when you were just there,
Yes,
there were no homeless and camping between the access from the old Kmart parking lot to Route 4. Is there?
not
They're
that way.
like, they're deeper into the woods,
Down
past the
further.
ravine.
Down further, yes, down further, somewhere down further. And then I had shown Steve when we did the cleanup, I had shown him a little bit likely off of city property into a adjoining vacant land, which is by I think an out-of-state owner,
Mhm.
where there had been a substantial encampment in the past, which is all everything is just you could tell the deterioration in the materials that they've been there for some period of time.
I'm trying to think, I think I went and found a huge encampment in 2012 when I was walking it with, it was shortly after the cleanup, the 2011 cleanup. And I was with like my 6-year-old twins,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
we were walking it. And then we came up this giant, I mean, it was scary, but it was early in the morning and everybody was still in their tents.
Yeah,
But I mean, it was like maybe 10, 15 tents up a, I don't know, it was like, there was like a ravine and they were on either side of it.
yeah.
And so it's like a wash, you know.
Oh, yeah, probably. I know where you mean, but the actual railroad bed had been in that ravine for establishment of grade, and I think that's where we want to put our trail to follow the actual railroad path. But then we have to elevate it and put in certain drainage things because
Got it.
some
Okay.
of the
Yeah, because does it get washed out?
there is seepage from the bank because there's if you go west towards Red Mountain Avenue, there's a pond which is fed by a stream that crosses Red Mountain Avenue,
Mhm, mhm.
and then but there's no defined outlet for that pond.
Okay.
So I think there must be a lot of fill in there or something that is.
And a bunch of little,
Because when I go in that gully, I find areas where there's seepage,
okay.
water is coming through, at the base of the thing. So it's not necessarily a direct channel into that area.
Yeah, I think a good portion of that will likely be regulated as wetlands at this point.
Mhm.
So that'll be an interesting challenge.
Yes, there was also the beavers had dammed up where the water had actually drained off to then enter the East Branch of the Naugatuck. So they've since departed.
The beavers up at the top of Abilene Mountain.
No, the ones in the city property and possibly
okay.
adjoining,
Where that pond is, like back there on the adjacent property, the large, I think it's, I don't know, like 30 acres or maybe not that big.
no, I'm talking the beaver pond. If you take the channel that had been created for the railroad, it's kind of a side chute going east, which drains down into a culvert, which then empties through the I think it's the Warrenton Mills condos through their property into the East Branch of Naugatuck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a side going to the east, not on the west side. But that they've left. I guess their food supply has gone, so they've migrated elsewhere. But
so I guess before we depart this point, as far as, I mean, did you want to make a motion on the Good Deed Award, or do you want to?
I just want to say something. Working with Tom, he had worked all week to collect garbage and bring it out of the woods. He brought it towards the side of the road in Newfield Dam. And it was my job to work with Tom to just to transfer it back to the dumpster.
All the stuff that he
took a
collected.
good part of the day.
Yeah.
So he basically filled the dumpster himself. So it was pretty inspirational. And then he had, well, it was a great walk in the woods in that park too. So, you know, the fantastical part of that is you have this great green space in a very densely populated area.
Isn't it?
And that is really a great thing. And that's a great resource for the city. And it is a great walk in the woods. And to be right there in the center of the city is just a great mix that we should find a way to take advantage of. And Tom spent the rest of the day in the river, right off of Main Street. And the biggest problem was getting stuff out of the river. So we had concocted all these devices to pull it up by ropes from the river to get it out.
Block and tackle?
No, I had straps with hooks on it. So we're hooking the garbage bags and pointing up.
Yeah, that was very, very convenient to do that. And then some other people came into the Franklin Plaza and viewed me down there and say, you know, they also added assistance to me. But one guy says, well, you know, you got to watch out. There's muskrats down there. And I'm looking at these big drainage tubes that come out into the wall. So there's another.
Well,
I think we should nominate him.
Yes, I move to nominate Tom for the award.
So we have the good deed award.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What's
Is that
called a
something
good
that
deed
is awarded by
Rista Malanka.
Rista does it?
Well, no, it's our commission.
It is your commission.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on, let me think about this.
Because I don't know if you have to nominate to someone else, or if
I don't remember how it works, because it's been years since we've done it. But Rista, maybe you need to just send an email to Rista and ask her.
Well, what you could do is you could make a motion to nominate Tom for recognition by the mayor, or what, you know.
I mean, that's what it was. The Good Deed Award was just like a little, certificate and recognition by the mayor.
Okay.
And I just don't remember the particulars of it. I think it was all Conservation Commission stuff, if I recall, but I don't know if it ever went anywhere else with.
Well, if you keep it general, I can try to finagle it, and then if we have to come back.
Okay.
I doubt it.
So then the motion is that the award is just recognition from the mayor for his work on Clean Up the World Day and single-handedly filling a dumpster by himself over the course of the previous week.
I'll second that. If there's a motion on the table.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll approve.
Motion and second. Can I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
And Tom saved someone's glasses also down in the river.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So then back to Clean Up the World. I mean, Earth Day always does better, but I have been just seeing fewer groups coming. So I think we mostly are getting individuals. I also see fewer students. So we used to get a lot of high school students who needed to have community service hours in order to graduate. I'm assuming that's still a requirement, but I don't know. So one, suggestion that I would have is that we somehow get some kind of communication with the school, with the high school. And I have one contact at the high school. I don't know if anybody else has any contacts at the high school, but to put some kind of notice that we have these two opportunities to earn community service hours. The other thing is I think we need to contact businesses, local businesses, to get groups together. And maybe there's some publicity in that for them. I don't really know what we used to do before, but so this year we had Torrington Subaru. We had people come from Torrington Subaru, right?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Yeah, and then that was basically it in terms of that. We used to have, Keith Much used to have he used to get all of his students from Torrington Kempo, Family Kempo. So I think we just need to really have some kind of campaign and strategy to contact city businesses. And I mean, maybe it's just a letter. I don't really know, an email. I'm not exactly sure, or whether we need to go and walk in and talk to people about participation in it. And then the other thing was the Chamber of Commerce used to get involved with the cleanups. They had like it was like a young, it's like a young entrepreneurs group. I'm trying to remember what their actual name was called, but they used to come out and do the cleanup. We also had a lot of like state and local politicians coming.
We did have Jim Stack. That was our political and Steve. So we did have politician representation.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a busy weekend. The last sports teams were starting up, and so it was hard to compete against that, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it doesn't necessarily have to be on the day as well, which is also mentioned in Tom's ideas for more participation. But I think we need to do it for both the Earth Day and the Clean Up the World Day. We just need to come up with a timeline and a strategy of who we're going to contact and how and like in what time frame to give people enough time to participate and get involved.
I would add Boy Scouts to your list of groups because they're very active.
So I also talked to Rist about this because she, was coordinating these prior to Jeremy, and she in thinking about it was like, Earth Day is obviously really solid. Everyone comes out, everyone wants to come out. It's a big day to get people out there, but Clean Up the World Day, she was thinking that maybe some alternatives could be something that's more, virtual, right? Like, clean up the stuff around your house, like, just kind of trying to coordinate people and like make it like a social media thing. They can send videos or like, send in where their trash is and they'll come pick it up, but not necessarily have to have them come out, but just trying to do a really broad.
Here's the deal though, is if people go out and say, clean up some section of their neighborhood, do they need a dumpster? If we have city trash pickup?
The hardest part about picking up garbage, is you have this big heavy bag
that you're
a mile or two away from your house.
So if you can call in a location of where you've left the bag and somebody comes and picks it up.
Just the pickup is very convenient to have. So if you could.
Well, I mean, it's a good idea. I don't think social, or maybe I don't know how to use social media, which definitely is a possibility. But when our Earth Day numbers have declined as well. We used to be so busy. We would get like a a line of 100 people waiting and, you know, just be frenzied trying to pass out the bags and the assignments and everything else. And so like, I think the numbers have declined for Earth Day as well, but we still get, you know, decent participation, but we don't get the numbers that we used to get. And I would say that the numbers, whatever Kim's method was of like calling people or communicating with people was what was really effective. I don't know what she did. I can ask her, but whatever it was that she did was incredibly effective. And I don't know if she just was really connected and just called in all her connections. I'm not exactly sure, but she always had a really big turnout that grew every year. And then since she's left, it's kind of just slowly gone down, and then it kind of stabilized. But I'd love to see those numbers again, because like, I mean, we were really getting the whole city cleaned up. We weren't really missing any spots. And, you know, which is super satisfying. But I think it, you know, also, you know, having something that's I like the idea of the virtual and people registering for a spot and then calling in where they're,
and maybe
where
doing it
their
over the
bag
course of the week,
is.
so then they're
Yeah,
not committing to a
exactly.
single day or a
It
single
can be when they have,
time.
can be when they have the time, and to post a picture,
And I think too,
and to recruit friends. You know what?
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just piggybacking off of your idea, Christine, that I think maybe even a Google form, you know, with pre-planned routes where somebody could just sign up, put your name in there. And then this way, when we come into the event, we already sort of have that all planned out. And then of course we can assign it the day of too, but this way people can kind of fill out a form ahead of time and sort of keep themselves accountable to showing up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That might,
I think the other thing is we need to make, I mean, I guess anybody can choose their spot, but I feel like we want to have maybe one of the things I wonder, like if you have an editable form where people will add all of the spots, but not necessarily what they want to clean, just like add the spots that are really messy. Like, because I've gotten letters all the time about different areas that are messy and that we need to add to the cleanup, stuff like that. But those people don't necessarily come out and clean them. But we need to schedule from before the spring a couple of volunteers from the commission to drive around and check out the spots that we have and find others, you know, that need to be done, that are pretty bad, so that we can just get a good list going, and then people can add to it if they want, and then people can assign themselves the different things.
And I have the PDFs with all of the locations that I can circulate to everyone. And I don't know how you want to divvy this up, but maybe if people want to.
It's not hard to do. Like the city's not that big. I've done it with Rista before, where we just drove around. Like Kim, I think, used to be able to keep track because of doing all of the like sign removals and enforcements. She would just she had some kind of system where she had a notebook and she'd make notes where things were messy and then put it into her system later. But you know, after I would just drive around. So like one time, Keith Much and I, when we were doing Clean Up the World, we did an inventory of all the locations and we kind of graded them A, B, C, D, F, how like dirty they were. And so that the worst ones became our priorities. And it was 2 meetings. You know, we met for 4 hours twice, and just drove all over the place in town and just got it done. So it's not, you know, it's kind of fun. You're scrolling around town and stopping and you know, looking around. So we just need to set that up before our April, you know, like we probably want it sometime in I would think early March or mid-March, so we can start getting the list together.
But you know, but if you wanted to make a focus, people could get interested in you want to see the future green trail come out, and we're all going to be walking and cleaning this trail, and we could be discussing a future, you know, the Riverwalk or Green Trail or whatever you're naming it, you know,
Yeah.
or you know, because we're always talking about extending the Riverwalk all throughout town.
Right.
I think people are interested in that because it's a really cool idea. For
So, I mean, I suppose we could do some kind of social media campaign where, you know, you're putting in like, I don't know how to like get it, you know, get people following it, but where, you know, you're posting little videos of the different areas that you're inventorying for the cleanup, you know, and I would think that if enough posts are coming through, then that starts to get some
Well,
traction.
I think that it's engaging with the schools is the key to that, because then you have kids that are posting and getting their
And they
parents to
all do,
post,
right,
and they're connected, and that was what Rista, again, and talking to her rec, she's like, you could do something where you could sign off for people's community service hours, and all they have to do is provide you, I mean, you know, if
That's
you want to sign
yeah.
off, but if all they have to do is provide you a picture that they post on social media to all their friends,
Yeah.
and then you'll sign off on X numbers, you're getting that advertising, and they're getting their community service, and you're getting the work done. So you know, people might abuse that a little bit, throw some of their own trash, take a picture of it on the corner, but it's a lot of work. You might as well just clean it up, and you know, and if their parents are helping,
you can maybe have to do
before
and after.
Yeah, something like that. So that could be kind of fun, and then we'd have some cool pictures, you know, for our own, we could put on the website,
right.
and you know,
yeah. Plus, we have some synergies with groups like the
Touring trails. Yeah, we can kind of stimulate our group to get more involved with those. You know, it varies because of the activities that we got going on. If we're building trails or investigating things, you know, it's less likely to want to do cleanups different places. But anyway.
Okay.
So as far as for next, I mean, I printed these out.
Yeah.
I mean, these were from the event, so there are some missing, the ones that actually went to people who went out.
And clean.
Right.
Well, hopefully those areas are clean.
Right. So these are the remaining ones. They got a little messed up when I was cutting them. I didn't have a cutter, but they're the locations. And so even just an assessment on those, or I mean, I have the PDFs too. So whatever you want to do to divvy these up.
Do you have the big map? Like this, there was like a big map that went with this.
I think that there might be one scanned as a part of what comes with like the file that was in. But you said it's like a full size, like one of their full size maps.
I think it's the map that has like I think it has all the numbers on it. I could be wrong.
So you want me to send the full size map and the smaller map PDFs to the group?
Yeah, that would be good. Because I mean, these are actually really, really helpful. They're just not in any kind of order in terms of actually going to locations in a way that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then the other thing is like everybody's, you know, a lot of this is on like commercial property, but people's touch base, not that they're what are they called? It's like it's a
well.
They're like, it's their drainage thing. So they have like a hole in the ground, they plant cattails or whatever, and
yeah, the rain garden.
But it's not really a rain garden. I mean,
well, like just a drain,
it's
essentially.
like a drainage system.
Yeah.
Where you know, like especially on 202, where Big Lots and the plaza next to it. So there's Big Lots and what's the other one? The one that has
Five Guys.
Fuji.
Five Guys.
Yeah.
And,
so those two big plazas,
yes.
all of the and then also across the street, but all of the water drainage features are just filled with trash, which is not you know, it's their responsibility to clean up, but it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So those are other you know, like commercial areas that are kind of, you know, very much in the public eye are good places to look as well. They never complain if you pull trash out of their swales. And it just makes the city look better. But yeah, okay. So let me see where we're at. Okay. Food forest on Mountain Road, planning and prep.
Yeah, so
All right.
I've been kind of working this through. So what we settled on at the last meeting was we hadn't had a location on city property, and we kind of wanted to do a deeper dive into where there is food insecurity and maybe focus our efforts on a specific park that might need it more. And we were having a hard time getting in touch with Brett to kind of secure a site anyway. And so I think Dan and Mike had suggested and Steve just going to the Mountain Road Community Garden site there that's owned by the Land Trust, and that the Land Trust, ended up, they gave us permission to pursue that as a site as the landowners. I followed up with the senior center and ultimately their representative there, who I'm forgetting his name, Rich Boley. And so I, got the blessing from the senior center and then talked to Rich, and he basically made it clear that he's not going to maintain it. Like, if he's happy to have it there, but he has a lot to do, and he's just, if it's going to get overgrown and kind of no one's going to maintain it, he'll just pull it out eventually because it'll be kind of in the way of his regular maintenance. So we're at a situation where we have the plants, Brett Lanier,
So my question is, I guess my question is, I get the in terms of defined maintenance and they need to be weeded and mulched. Okay. Is that, I'm concerned about putting any effort into anything and money into anything where there's someone there who has the power and right to rip it out at his discretion. And so what is maintained or like what we consider maintained and what he considers maintained have to be on the same page completely.
Right. And so, his stipulation was that there be someone who, that there's a group that we coordinate to plant, and that someone's identified as the point person to maintain. And so it's my understanding that that person would be the one in communication with Rich. And so that Rich wouldn't just pull something out, but that he would contact this person and say, hey, are you going to come do this, or is it not going to get done? And through my conversation with Rich, I said that really the maintenance should involve an annual mulching and 1 or 2 weed pulls a year, which it's not a huge amount of trees. So it really wouldn't be that significant of a time commitment. After, in my opinion, after 5 years, depending on where it's put, it may not need a lot of maintenance at all.
Right?
Maybe even just one.
Trimming, right?
No, not in this case. And the plants that were provided at this point, they were coming free from this guy, Brett, who has this nonprofit who's giving them. At this point, he's just going to give, he was going to give peach trees. He ran out of those, or they didn't work out. So he just has blueberries and hazelnuts. And those are like native shrubs that are like low growing. And the blueberries are like 4 foot max. They're like a middle hybrid blueberry. So if we put it against the wood line,
which is what we were considering,
right? And you mulch it and stuff, it'll just turn into kind of a natural wood edge. It may get choked out by vines and invasives, like that's definitely possible or likely. But if there is a problem, it'll just naturalize as like wildlife habitat. If in worst case scenario they're abandoned at some point. But in the meantime, they'll create fruit there. I think that as a part of this, if we do want to proceed with it, there has to be some kind of education to the people at the gardens, because we want at least them to use it. Like we don't want to just plant these and then have no one use it. Like the whole point is that people are eating the food. So that would be something that, they're not necessarily, no one was like, this is great, I'm going to adopt it from their point of view. So there'd have to be additional outreach to them and kind of get them to say, hey, there's blueberries here, go pick them. I mean, that's not too hard.
There's a lot of enthusiastic people there. They have 50 garden plots there, and people are there all the time.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
And I think if you could explain to them, get their attention somehow, they would support it.
Yeah. So the question, so from where we are right now, we have the plants could be delivered this October
Mhm.
to the site with materials and everything needed for them.
And we're looking at 6
I think
bushes.
it's like 6 blueberries and
or
6
okay, so we're looking at total.
hazelnuts. Like so,
Okay,
around
12,
12.
okay.
Yeah, they're small. I bought some from him
Uh-huh.
of those
So
exact
what size-
things.
what
They're
do
like
they-
this tall.
Oh, they're itty bitty, okay,
It's not going to take
Right.
very long. Like
right,
all of them will be can be planted in an hour.
okay,
By a couple people,
Yep.
and that's generous, I
Yep.
think. So the planting, we don't need to put together a big event for that.
no, I
They
mean,
would
I
just-
can get people from my own household to plant
Mhm.
and get that done. So then the question, okay, so my thing, I always have mulch, I always like chip a ton of mulch that I end up using in my yard. But I have a Prius, like I don't, I don't have anywhere
Yeah.
to transport mulch, really.
Yeah. I think
So, and the other possibility, so that was one thing, is like, okay, so where's the budget for the mulch? Like who's,
I live on Mountain Road, so I would be happy to, schlep some mulch over there and also do maintenance and be the point person for Rich. Sometimes
nice, Mike.
yeah, we walk down there. We were going almost every day when it was warmer, and we bump into Rich, and Rich really is like the king of that
Yeah, he is.
property.
yeah,
And that's for better
Quite
or
a
for worse, because it's kind of been his job for so long that I do think it's important for us, both our conservation commission and also the land trust, to assert ourselves a little bit to show that this is not only his place,
Mhm.
So I think because we put shiitake mushroom logs there, and we didn't really get any response from him. And I have yet to publicize those, but they're finally producing shiitakes now in the woods right there. So this can kind of all be rolled into a publicity campaign among the seniors, and also maybe even in the press, to help flex a little muscle to show Rich, like, it's okay, you can just leave these alone. We're gonna take care of them. You can just mow. You know what I mean?
yeah. Okay, so that's great. I think in terms of, like, we are a commission of 5, right? We have 5 members. I would think that if we are each doing, taking on a task, that it's a once a year thing. If we go in pairs, for each pair, would that be correct?
once, like
Once or twice a
I think
year.
I think twice a year.
But what I'm saying is if you have people going in pairs, so say we have we have 2 pairs
Mhm.
in any given year. So 2 pairs can go out
Yeah.
twice. So that's once per pair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
yep.
it's like a once a year commitment to do a little weeding
Mhm.
there, or mulching or whatever.
Mhm.
So I would think, do you all who are present feel like that's something you could commit to for this location?
Definitely.
Yeah, certainly I could. I live very close to it.
Okay.
Great. Well, I mean,
could.
the maintenance was the hardest part, I thought. But then as far as the planting, so like I said, we have those the bushes. I can get them delivered anytime in October. Planting season is usually October into November. So whatever date, I mean, I can get them. I can coordinate with Rich so that he knows they're coming. And I already went there and talked to him. He was thinking, and I agree. Behind the pavilion, somewhere along the wood line there, would be a good spot for them. And especially, again, if you think about building a hedge adjacent to the woods that can kind of naturalize and fade into the edge there, I think that'd be a great opportunity. There is a walnut that was planted. There's like a memorial walnut. Yeah, memorial black walnut. So we don't want to go near that because those are toxic. Yeah. So as long as we're like sufficiently far, which I think, 30 feet beyond how big the tree's going to get, is probably fine to just be safe. And there's some dead dying ash trees that Rich is going to be taking down along that edge as well. So there's going to be a lot of light open up there, which again, maybe get kind of weedy there, but so that's the location he wanted to plant. And so again, when you kind of drive in and you go all the way to the pavilion, on the right-hand side, kind of at the front of the pavilion, that's the area that he'd identified. And again, I think would be a good spot for planting there, and would be out of their way, and, you know, but still convenient. Do you know what I'm talking about, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds great. So what's our agenda item, or what is our action item?
So our action is that we should probably, if we're going to go forward with it, we need to pick a date for planting first, and who our volunteers will be. Let's see, I'm trying to think, through October until November 5th, my availability is weekdays. 17th through the 20th, the 24th through the 26th. And then how far into November can we go?
I mean, you don't want the ground to be frozen. I mean, I think that
It won't freeze in
it's
November.
not going to freeze in
Okay,
November,
and
but
then in November I do have after the 5th, so Saturday the 5th, and I have weekends available.
Yeah, and I'm fairly open right now, so October would be ideal, I guess, and then early November would be our second choice.
And it doesn't matter day of the week?
Nope.
Okay.
and I really think only, I mean, as many people who can come, and that's great, but with 12
like
plants, I mean, it's
yeah.
going to go quick.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 people, I think that would be plenty to get it done. So I don't know.
So is there any day next week or the week after?
Yeah, I think that we should ask Brett. You know, he's coming from somewhere farther away. He doesn't live locally, so
Okay.
we should check with him.
All right, so why don't we do that, and then.
Well, what I'll do is I can check with Brett. He said he basically just drop it off. So what we'll do is I'll leave it in that, I'll have him leave it in that spot and he's been there already, so he knows the site behind the, or kind of in front and behind the pavilion. So I'll have him just leave all the materials there. I can tell Rich that he'll be dropping that off. Sorry, I'm just writing all this down. I can coordinate with Brett. And so I guess I'll just have him drop it off as soon as possible. And then, then you guys can coordinate at that point, maybe just the 2 of you, or if everyone else, you can just do it via our email chain. So if anyone else wants to jump in, that they're welcome.
I think it would be awesome to something in his garden, you know what I mean? So it would be ideal if he could be there. I'm not sure if he can.
You just froze. Can you repeat that?
Also, I mean, I think it'd be so cool if the registered citizen came to take photos of it if they're free, or even Joel and the senior center folks. As many people as possible. It would be cool to at least tell them that it's happening. So maybe let's see. I have Rich's contact, but what do you think about that, Nate?
If you want to take the initiative on that stuff, I will not argue with that. I mean, you have Brett's contact, obviously, Mike. If you want to even coordinate with him, he's been really responsive by email. Do you have his email?
Yes.
If he's been really responsive, if you want to just take the mantle there, he's kind of settled on the plants that he's willing to give, and he's been to the site. So if you say, hey, I'm going to be the one who does it with the commission, just drop it off whenever, I think that, you can work that out with him.
Yeah, Christine, I would love for you to be there too.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet you there. I just need to nail a date. If it's going to be in October, I need to nail down the date ASAP.
And you too, Steve. As the land trust, we should have some people from the land trust there ideally, but we'll see what works for people.
Great.
Okay.
So Mike, you're going to get in touch with Rich, with Rich and Brett.
Yeah, Rich, Brett, and I guess while I'm at it, maybe I'll email Emily from the paper.
Yeah,
And also, I think I'm going to add Joel from the senior center.
Yeah, that would be everyone on my list. So
Okay.
that's great. And so
Great,
once you hear back from Brett on when he can drop it off, then you and Chris can coordinate the date.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's see. Next is the open space parcel inventory and data collection progress. So we haven't done anything since the last meeting, as far as I know, have we?
No, yes, I was able to get a couple parcels done, or one done.
Oh, you did these parcels? These here?
No, those are what I've planned for, okay. But the one that I go out on inspections for other things, and so I had one on Grove Street, so there's some open space that's adjacent to the Naugatuck there on Grove Street, and I checked that out, found some wetlands violations that I'll be following up with. Okay. And checked out that which is really nice. It's probably the biggest floodplain in the city. Yeah. So probably has a lot of flood benefits too, to people downstream. Yeah.
My Taki grows there.
Well, I never do a good job of identifying it because it's brown and it's just like chicken of the woods, like bounces out, but not Maitake. Good to know. But anyway, yeah. So that one I filled out a form for, and then these other ones I have Rock Creek Road and Pepper Road. Those are both maybe not the most fun ones I'm trying to cross off. They're kind of subdivided, the back of subdivisions. Manchuga is going to be a fun one because that'll be the land trust property and and the city properties. So that would be a fun one to try to get the commission, as many people to come on that as possible. Yeah. The other ones, I'd be, if people are really interested in being a part of those. If not, I would just kind of try to fit them into my schedule.
Oh, okay. What are they? They're just little?
They're like small subdivision sort of fragments that I'm just trying to kind of pick off.
Do we want to try to set a time for a Manchuga Park?
Yeah, I would love that. I tried to get in touch with Brett about coordinating with them to see what their plans for turning it into a park are, and there was radio silence on that. So I figured we shouldn't wait for that and just do it ourselves.
So let's see.
I'll tell you, I scheduled it in just tentatively for myself, and maybe the date works for people. Let's see. I did, oh gosh, okay. Oh, the 20th. So that's next Thursday. Yeah. Okay. So in the late afternoon. I don't know if that works for people. I could probably be flexible.
Late afternoon as in 3, 4, 3. Okay.
3. If people want to throw out other times, that day is good for me because I'm here till 6:30. Mm-hmm. So I could do even a 5 o'clock one if people really could get out at that point. I don't know.
I could do the 3 o'clock on that day.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else able to do it?
Sorry, which day was that?
It's the 20th of October at 3 p.m.
I think I could.
Or 5 p.m.
I think I can be there.
Or 5 p.m. you said?
Yeah. Would that work better for you, Tom?
It would, yeah, because I get out of work at 4:30. So that should work. October 20th.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do 5.
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
So where are we meeting?
We can meet on Manchuga Road. I haven't been there yet, so I'm not really quite sure, but I think at the end of Manchuga Road, it's on the, I guess, yeah, submit those maps of the parcel. Thank you, Tom. Just having it right there for me.
Have it.
Okay, right. So that's the land. That's the new city property. Yeah. So yeah, I think you just go to the end of the road and maybe before it dog legs there. Is there a parking area?
A barricade there. If there's one house, there's still one house.
Right. So go past the house and then find a place to park after that.
Yeah, at the end there.
Yeah.
It's a narrow road, but it's a barricade you can move, and if you need to get in further and to turn around.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that sounds good. So everyone, so 5 o'clock, October 20th. Tom, if you'd like to join us, you can. If not, I'll put together some maps and try to share those in advance so that we know which properties we're looking at, and and have some kind of questions maybe we want to answer as far as what's out there. But has anyone been to that site? Tom, you've been
Of course,
there?
that's in my hood.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I've been there.
So you guys can all show me, and then maybe we can try to put together, or I can try to put together a list of our field visit, try to get that to Brett, just so that I've been in these park planning situations, and it's like good to make yourself known so that things aren't developed in a way that's damaging to the resources. And you want to make sure that they don't start planning around. Be good to just have it known if there's things we want them to avoid.
Okay.
Right. I guess the initial thing with the Park and Rec, I think when the property was acquired years ago, I think it was probably Kim Barberi was
Yes.
in the position. So the thing there was there was a thought of passive recreation, but you know if you know things have changed, and I think it's appropriate for the Park and Rec to look at it in a broader sense to see if there's other opportunities to do something in there. I do want to point out one thing too. Do you see this rectangular piece adjacent to Machuga?
Yep.
This piece here, this piece here, this piece here.
Okay.
There, it had been up for tax sale last year, and apparently there was no bidder. The thing with it, it had enormous back taxes due on it. Something like $74,000, far exceeding any value in that property.
And I'm sorry, which property was that? I was
right here.
Oh, okay. I'll write that down.
Yeah, it's under the name of a Francis Taparo, and I'm not sure if the gentleman still is alive.
So how does that work? Does the city own that property if it goes up to auction for a tax sale?
I don't know. That's why I wrote it down. I can follow up on that.
I would think my only comment really is that it would make an appropriate addition to what you've already acquired.
Of course.
There, and if it's in that state of where you have to consult with the tax collector on where it stands. So if 74,000 was a year and a half ago, it's got to be over 80,000 or something now in back taxes on it, and I mean, I've walked on it, and it's equivalent property to the back end of the Machuga.
Yeah.
Machuga has that front part that goes into the wetlands, but the back part is all nice. And
where the trolley line is really.
Yes, where the trolley line went through there. Where that road makes an L, it had an L like that because there was two Machuga families living in there, and the city had removed both of the residences, any barns or debris that was in there. But I think that would be a beneficial addition to that park. So adding like another 2.7 acres to the property.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'll bring that up to Jeremy, and definitely look at that, because I don't know if that's on anyone's radar. I know that I think that our conservation fund is pretty depleted right now. So, and we haven't had any major subdivisions to fill the coffers again with fee and lieu.
They never really filled the coffers. That wasn't really a great way to fill the coffers. But we somehow, so I don't know if we'll ever get this again. I used to go before finance and ask for a line item for the Conservation Commission for acquisition of land. We'd always get denied. And then what happened was one of our, I wish I could remember the exact thing, but a tree fell from open space or, land that was Conservation Commission land onto private property. And we had to pay to have the the tree removed, and they took it from our, they took the money from our, you know, our savings, and which like depleted it completely. And so then Kim was like, well, wait a second. Why is it that there's an open space line item in Park and Rec that they get, but they didn't pay for the tree to be taken? So can we have that line item? And the mayor at the time said yes. And then when, and so it was this thing that we just got, it was like $5,000 every year. And it was increasing our savings better than anything that we ever had before. And it was for the acquisition of land. But when Rista came on, Eleanor Carbone questioned it and said you didn't use it.
Right.
And so it got removed.
I see.
Because Rista didn't know what it was when she didn't.
But did the money
ask.
get reabsorbed? Like
that I don't know.
Yeah,
but
the line item
but
was,
so we should find out.
there is an open space fund, like the land use that's in the land use department, and
Okay.
I don't have access to that yet, but they're working on that. So
Okay.
I can report
So,
back
I mean,
to
I
the
guess the
commission
whole
to see
thing
how
again
much.
is like taking a look at what things are, you know,
Right.
what's in the budget, it's used, and if there's anything that.
Yeah, I don't want to take up
That's,
too much time, but I know in New York, when I was working out there, I was working a lot with getting communities enabled to set up real estate transfer taxes to fill their open space acquisition funds. And so like they'd have like a 3%, 2% tax on all transactions, and that could be helpful. But and I think that that can happen, but again, that's not anything that's going to happen here in the future. So
so yeah, we got to find ways to finagle it.
Okay.
All right, and then the last thing is communication, social media, and website.
Yeah, that's a standing line item. I will say, in relation to everything, it's good news. I got an intern from Central
Nice.
to help me work on conservation stuff. So he's going to be working with me on the open space inventory. So he's going to be digitizing. So he's going to be doing data entry on all the sheets we have that they've never been entered. They're just sitting in a giant pile. And he's also going to be helping me with the NRI, which I had talked about before. He's a geography student, so he can really, I'm going to sick him on that. And so anyway, we have that coming up. I'm meeting with him next week. So a little extra capacity.
Okay. All right. So the next item is we need a motion for adjournment.
My motion.
A second?
No, second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.